This episode of the Restoration Today podcast is brought to you by CoreLogic and NextGear Solutions' all-new event, Interconnect, coming to LA in January of 2023. Claims, restoration, underwriting, and risk unite for an event experience unlike any other in the industry. With curated sessions designed to inspire and unique networking events, we're bringing together the brightest minds to shape a new perspective of what's possible in insurance and restoration. Go to interconnect.nextgearsolutions.com to register now. See you in LA. Hello there. Thanks for checking out another episode of the Restoration Today podcast. Today, I am excited to be joined by two friends in the industry. I am joined by Doug Hoffman, who is the executive director of NORMI, and Mr. Michael Pinto, who is one of the first people I ever met in restoration. And he is near and dear to my heart, knows my children, and just anyway. So I digress. He is the CEO and founder of Wonder Makers Environmental, also from Michigan, up in my neck of the woods. So gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Today, we are talking about what is known as the Certified Mold Professional designation that was founded by the RIA, and that is going through some changes, some interesting and exciting changes. So that is what we are here to talk about. So Michael, I want to toss it over to you first and have you explain the foundations of the CMP and what it really is.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. First of all, let me also say thanks for having us on. And yes, you're a dear friend. And yes, when we're done, I'll have to find out what's going on with the family. But regardless, the fact of the matter is that when we were working with the RIA at the very beginning of the mold remediation industry. They weren't even the Restoration Industry Association. They were still ASCAR, the Association of Specialists in Cleaning and Restoration. So way back in like 2000, as the industry was starting to develop, it became clear that yes, it's great to have people that have training on the technical level, so your technicians know what they're doing, and then another class for the supervisors so they know how to actually do project management for mold remediation. But it very quickly became clear to us that a third level was necessary, and that matched with the ASCAR/RIA thinking because they already had upper level training for fire and water and certified restorers. And so the certified mold professional was the bookend to that. Is similar to a certified restorer in the mold arena or what later became fire law specialist and things like that. And again, started in 2022, I believe, is when the first certified mold professional class came out. And then that following spring at their conference, then they did the award ceremony and the people got their pins and all of that. So it's been a long history with the RIA, and they've been great partners with Wonder Makers. We always owned the training materials and the PowerPoints and things like that. And just quite recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, the RIA moved in a different direction with their training, closer alignment with the IICRC, restructuring their certified restorer program, put in different pillars underneath. And again, in my opinion, all good things. They've got a vision of what they want to do with their training and all of that. But quite honestly, it left the CMP program as what you would call the redheaded stepchild of the training program at RIA. And this is biased, of course, because I've been with the program from the very beginning and helped to develop it and the main instructor and all of that. But I just think it's too good of a program and it's got too much good information. I think it offers a whole different level to the industry that when the RIA was moving away from it, we at Wonder Makers just felt that we needed to find somebody who would be a partner organization. We thought about just taking it in-house and turning it back into a Wonder Maker program and all of that, but then it's too small, right? You want to have an organization that is supportive of it so that the certification means something and that it's got a little bit more weight behind it. And I cannot tell you how pleased we are to have kind of by accident, quite honestly, found NORMI and then developed a relationship with Doug and the whole NORMI crew over the past 2.5 years, almost 3 years now. And and it made sense to migrate it over. They had a very solid technician course and a very solid supervisor course, and they were looking for that third level. And with everything that was going on, it was just a good time to make that switch and that match. And I have to admit, I just want to continue to say this: the RRA has been, wonderful partners for 2 decades. And yes, it's always hard when there's a change and everything, but they've been professional and gracious about it. And I'm just so pleased that that hasn't caused a ripple in the relationship over there. I think everybody understands the program will have more emphasis these days if it's with NORMI. So I think I'll let Doug take it from there, and he can explain what NORMI is doing with it, and if that's okay with you.
That's a perfect segue, because that was my next question. So I will just shift it over to Doug. So Doug, yes, explain NORMI first for people who are not familiar with NORMI, and then how we are bringing in the CMP.
Thank you. Yeah, NORMI started in July 4th of 2004. That was when the Louisiana licensing law went into place, and we started doing training as a licensed provider, training provider for the state of Louisiana, and then Texas, and then subsequently Florida, Louisiana, and District of Columbia. So now we're training for all the states that require licensing. There were 2 really kind of interesting aspects about this when Michael brought this idea to us. And the 2 things that it seemed like a perfect storm in some ways. We talked from the very beginning about how mold, though we talk a lot about mold, is really under the umbrella of indoor air quality. And so it really is kind of standing as a surrogate, standing in the place of all kinds of microbials. When you clean up a mold problem, you're also taking care of bacteria, and I think you're also reducing viruses, and you're reducing particulates. And so you're really in the cleaning business, and you're doing a much broader sweep of the environment from an indoor air quality standpoint than just dealing with the mold. So we've been talking since 2004, we've been talking about microbial remediation and microbial assessment and those sorts of things, and trying to give our students a little bigger, broader understanding of what's going on. The second thing that we did was, when we started this, I tell people I've been self-unemployed for 35 years. So I've always worked for myself as a kind of somebody called me, I think Michael might have, a serial entrepreneur. I hope that's a good thing. But what I realized was probably 80% of the people that become active NORMI members are business owners. And so what we realized was to try to have the right kind of approach for them. And this is really the second point I wanted to make about this, why this fits so well, is we took on the mantra several years ago that it's not just about getting a certification or getting a license, but it's about building a successful business. And what that means is that you've got to have a broad range of classes. A lot of people don't even know our members get a lot of free training. They even get Microsoft Office training free if they want. And so there's a lot of stuff that we do to enhance their business and the way they do business. So that set us on a track to move toward what I'm very excited about. We'll probably be announcing this pretty soon, so you kind of got a scoop on this. But we've been asked since the time we started teaching a class, they would say, well, what do I take next? Now, what do I take next? Now, what do I take next? And so on our website, we actually have a training track for assessors, for remediators, and for indoor air quality professionals, where they can know exactly what class they should take next, and then what they should take next, and what they should take next. And so the NCMP, the trademarked certification that now that we have, the NORMI certified microbial professional, fits right in with that whole idea of a track to build a successful business. And as Michael knows, one of the things that I'm so excited, and here's your scoop, we are going to be producing a brand new certification called a NORMI Pro. And that's also a trademark. And it's going to be people who are excelling in the industry. They know how to deal with sensitized individuals. They know how to deal with odors. They know how to deal with assessment and remediation. They are at the highest level of the game, basically. And so when that happens, this just fits right into that whole concept of creating a team of professionals who really know the industry.
Okay. All right. So now that the NCMP is within NORMI, how long does it take to go through the course? I know under the RA, getting the designations takes some time, and it takes effort and work to get there. And I think you have a final project, all those things. So what does the course look like? How long does it take?
So the basic structure of the course is very similar to what it was when it was hosted by RIA, in that it's a 3-day course. It's 16 or 17 different sections that we go through over those 3 days. And it's an intensive course, but it's the tip of the pyramid, so to speak. So there are prerequisites. People have to have had, or individuals that are going to be coming into that class have to show some previous success in lower level courses. Now we're pretty generous on that. Obviously, NORMI's got a wide range of prerequisite courses that would fit and that sort of stuff. But just like we were talking about before, ICRC and IAQA all have different courses and stuff. And in some respects, we don't care where the people get their training. We just want them to have a significant level of mold related or indoor air quality related or microbial remediation training, because this course, again, it doesn't start at the beginning. It starts near the top and then moves up toward the top. And basically what we're trying to do in the course is develop the NORMI pros that Doug was talking about a little bit faster than having them have to have 20 years of experience and become a pro by making mistakes and then remembering, oh crap, I'm not going to do that again. And so that's the main part of the NCMP is a 3-day course. Now, the thing that set the CMP separate from some of the other courses at the RIA was the fact that our capstone project was a little bit more rigorous than some of the other designations there. And that is pretty much staying with it. There's some adjustments that we've made to that, but there is a capstone that also is a requirement of the course. So you go through, you take the course, successfully complete the test, and then the capstone is a demonstration that the people actually are pros in the industry. And one of the main ways that people can do that, and this might be another scoop to you, Michelle, at least should be make your ears tingle anyway, is that they should be able to demonstrate their expertise in the industry in a way that they can share it with other professionals in the industry. And one of the main ways that you do that is through
writing articles
and getting to the point where you're recognized enough of an expert to be a guest on a podcast, and just to demonstrate that you're more than just a remediation supervisor. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to speak down to remediation supervisors. That's not what I meant at all. I've learned so much from people in the industry. But what we're trying to accomplish, as Doug said, for the NORMI pros, these are people who are really at the top of the IAQ industry and are recognized there. These are the people that may be called on to act as expert witnesses. These are the people that are going to be called on to consult when there's difficult cases and things. So, and who knows, maybe even have to moderate a dispute between, heaven forbid, insurance adjusters and contractors and things like that ever happens. Never. So that's the intent of the CMP. That's where we're going with it. And it's building on this 20-year history with the RIA. And I think now that it's with NORMI, it's just, man, I'm reworking the slides and I've got all these extra pieces of information coming. I'm quite excited about it. I've been excited about it, throughout its history, but this is kind of just for an old guy like me, another little shot of energy in regards to moving this forward.
Well, and let me offer, if I could, for a second too. One of the things that we're bringing to the table, I think, that's a little bit different than the way the industry has looked at the at this profession is our building background. And looking at it not necessarily from just a water event standpoint, oh, there was a hurricane, oh, there was a flood, but really looking at it from an indoor air quality standpoint and looking at the building as a living, breathing organism. And when you take the things that we've learned about how to clean, how to remediate, how to sanitize, when you think about putting that into the context of building sciences, I think our classes take on kind of a different look, and it becomes broader in a lot of ways, but it helps a lot more people. We're not helping only the people that have some kind of flood damage. We're helping everyone improve their lives by creating cleaner, safer, and healthier indoor environments. And that's kind of where our passion is, and that's what I think the NCMP is going to bring to the table, is that level of training. We have over almost a dozen now building science courses. People don't think about us as doing classes on insulation and moisture planes and those sorts of things, but that's really part of what we're trying to do to create this NORMI Pro.
So, all right. So we talked about once you finish the course, you're proving that you are a professional within the industry. How can restorers take this as well and take it to their customers or clients, whatever that may be, to show that they are an elevated professional and that this is, they understand this to a greater degree than maybe a lot of professionals around them?
I'll let Doug handle that, because that's goes back to the whole history of NORMI and the status that they have in the industry right now. And again, this is one of multiple certifications through NORMI. So
Yes.
I'll tell you a short story, Michelle. And I don't know, Michael might not even know this, but after we got approved for Texas, Louisiana and Texas, there was a rumor that Florida was going to write a licensing law. And the interesting thing was, we were approached by a lobbyist, and I didn't know anything about lobbyists. And he said, well, you need to have an impact on the legislation, and so we'd like to help you with that. And I said, what's that take? He said, well, about 60 grand. And then we'll wine and dine the important folks. And then he said to me, I said, well, then what happens when you run out of 60? And he said, well, we'll just come back for more.
Yeah.
And I said, well, thank you very much, but I just have a great faith and the Lord, and I think if we're doing the right thing, we're going to be noticed. Sure enough, it was like 3 weeks later that I got a call from the executive director at the board, who's now the executive director of the board, and he said, we'd like you to be a stakeholder in helping write this licensing law. My point is that I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to do things right. And when you try to do things right with guys like Michael Pinto on your side, how can you not? But we've got such a great, I'm serious, we've got such a great team of trainers that I think what's important to us is that the professional get it right and that the public get the right kind of information. And I think that just has kind of catapulted us, if that may be overstated, but I think it's put us in a position where people are noticing that, yes, we do have credibility and you can count on the work being done correctly. That's what we're hoping that we can offer to our membership.
And I need to jump in on that too, because as the primary person who helped to develop and then has been training the CMP professionals, it's always, in some respects, it's bothered me that I'm the one that's associated with the CMP program. And if you look at the other certification programs at the RIA, the water law specialists and the fire law specialists, they have teams of instructors typically that do that. We just got done developing, I helped them develop the environmental risk specialist certification over there. Same thing, teams of instructors and people that are putting it together. And one of the most exciting things for me and being associated with NORMI is the quality of the instructors that I have been introduced to. And again, I'm not trying to be egotistical or anything like that, but a lot of times I'm used to being like the most experienced mold professional in the room. And then I get to NORMI and it's like, holy mackerel, there's a lot of really, really smart people. And even the plans to, expand some of the training programs that we've done through Wonder Makers to other instructors and see how that expands the base of knowledge. Because again, if you've got the good training material in place and then you've got a good instructor who can bring their own specific take on things and their experience to it, you get different flavors to these individual classes. And we don't want it to go quite so far as the IICRC and some of these others where it's strictly the person. If you go to some classes and you get a good instructor, it's a great IICRC class. But if you look at the reviews and you go to another one and they're just reading the slides that somebody else put together or something like that, it can be a pretty horrible experience.
Yep.
And again, I'm not trying to pick on any other, organizations. I'm just saying that you have to understand these sorts of things and then protect against that. And I think that that's, Doug's got a vision about that, and that's where NORMI is moving, and their board of advisors and everything is helping them move in that direction so that we can expand these classes to other instructors without diluting the quality of the class. And that's hugely important to me.
And it's not an easy thing to do. It's really tough to keep everybody on track. But I think just as Michael said, it's from the very beginning with NORMI, I knew it was not about me. It couldn't be about me. It had to be about the message, and it had to be about the truth of what we were trying to teach. And so we're going to hold that up. Hopefully that's going to sustain us.
Yes.
And then just to answer your question a little bit more specifically, if we go back a few minutes, you said, well, what's going to make a difference for the NCMP person?
Yep.
And the answer to that is, one, the credibility that the certification has, both because of the history that it's got coming through RIA for 20 plus years, and for the integration now into the NORMI Pro system. And, Search a Pro and some of the other things that you can do through NORMI now to identify these individuals who have attained this level of training and stuff. So yes, I think that it's more than just a certificate to hang on the wall. There's going to be some active promotion behind it, and probably, knowing Doug, not through a bunch of lobbyists.
I can't afford it.
Exactly.
Who can? Oh. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. Anything else you want to add? Anybody who's listening or watching this, you can check out the NORMI website. Is it normi.org? Why am I not totally sure?
It is normi.org.
Okay.
And I just want to thank you for your hard work. I'll tell you, you're making a difference in the industry too. And I very much appreciate what you're doing to impact it in a positive way. So thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure speaking with both of you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bless you, Michelle.
For more Restoration Today, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, or find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts.